Welcome to Cashflow Savannah, episode 75. Today, Chandler and I interview one of my favorite people, Giovanni Leonore. He is a longtime friend of mine, and Gio and I are launching a course about travel hacking. Chandler, is this going to be a good episode or is this going to be a good episode?
It's going to be a good one. I don't know too much about travel hacking or points or any of that, so I'm excited to learn.
Absolutely. Well, this show is for real estate investors. It's not necessarily about points hacking, but if you're a estate investor like myself, or even a business owner like myself, you are spending money. And even if you're not a real estate investor or a business owner, you're still spending money. So we love assets and liabilities. That's what we do. That's our whole job every day is managing assets and liabilities. And so when I really realized back in college that my expenses were assets and I could get something back for every dollar I spend, I've been travel hacking since the 90s. Now, Gio recently started, but he is an expert in travel hacking. When you hear him going about what he's doing in life, it is amazing. Gio is 22 years old. He's been traveling the world first class. He does not make a lot of money. And I'm here to tell you if Gio can do it, you can too. It seems a little scary. What a great guest. I know everyone listening is going to just get a lot out of this because everyone here is spending money.
Yeah, for sure. I think this is a good skill to learn. I think there's some skills that people don't care to learn, but I think this is one to spend time on and learn.
Absolutely. Well, without further ado, we're going to bring in our guest, Gio. Welcome to Cashflow Savannah podcast, Gio Lenore. How are you today? Thank you so much for coming on.
I'm fantastic. Super excited to be here.
We're glad to have you. Well, just for our listener, I've known Gio for many years, and I've known Gio's wife for her entire life since actually before she was born. I was patting her mom's tummy. So we go way back. We're kind of family. And Gio, tell us a little bit about the course that we have coming out.
Yeah, so our new course, Unlikely Assets, is going to teach people how to maximize their spending and earn points. Not only earning points for their minimum value, but by using them in a kind of way that not many people know how. Some of the things that Julie and I have done by using the methods in our course have been, of course, traveling the world for nearly free in first class or business class, staying at luxurious resorts. At least for me, it's been able to experience stuff that I've never been able to experience otherwise without using these points and miles. So it's super awesome. And it's definitely a value in this course that anyone can have, regardless on where you are on your budget and your spending habits. There's definitely something there for everyone.
And we call it unlikely assets because most people don't think of their spending habits as assets. You're spending money every day. You might be buying gas, you could buy groceries, you can go out to eat, you might need a box of screws at Home Depot. That's the whole concept is when you're spending money anyway, you need to be getting the maximum amount of points out of it. And so Gio and I come from two very different backgrounds. I'm obviously a real estate investor and a business owner. And so I have a high amount of spend, but I started actually where Gio is currently, which was in college, and I didn't have a lot of spend. And so the course really, we show you how you can have make a little bit of money and travel the world for free, or you can be churning a lot of money through your businesses and also travel the world for free. So it's kind of a cool concept. So Chandler, I'm going to be quiet. I know you probably have some questions, but that's basically the concept of what we're talking about today is turning your expenses into assets. And we love assets here on the podcast.
So, G, I just kind of want to ask, like, what kind of got you started in this? Like, what got you
That's a
going?
great question, Chandler. And I have a pretty good answer because I've been asked pretty often. So in college, I spent some time abroad studying in Italy. That really just awakened my love for travel. I was like, oh my goodness, the culture, the food, everything that you see, the history. I was there with my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, and we both just fell in love with it. Came back, and my wife, girlfriend at the time, was studying all this information on credit card points. She actually got into it a little bit before I did, and she applied for a Delta credit card and she got approved. And then I wanted to apply for a Delta credit card and I did not get approved. And that really is what jump started my need to learn everything about the system because I did not like the way it felt when she got approved and I did not. And ever since then, I've been the one in the couple that has been leading us with the points and miles, but she's the one that actually sparked that interest. And ever since then, I've just not gone back, really.
Okay. So what was the first thing that you got?
The first credit card?
Yeah, the first credit card.
Yeah, the first credit card I got was actually a Discover student card, but the first travel card that I got was a Delta Sky Miles card, which isn't necessarily something that I recommend for all people. And at the time, I did not know what I was doing. And that's something that I know Julie and I learned for ourselves is you learn by trial and error. And what the beautiful thing about our course is that we give you all of our errors and all of our mistakes, so you don't have to make the same ones that we did. But of course, everything with this is changing, so you're always learning more as you go.
So you told us the one to not get, but what's the one to get? Let's say you're starting out. What's the perfect one to get?
I hate to not give a simple answer, but the matter of fact is that all of these credit cards are like shoes. They don't fit one person the same. It changes for each person and their specific spending habits and their goals. However, Julie and I are advocates for the big four. Specifically, we have our favorite ones, but our big four is Chase, their program and their points, Amex, their program and their points, Capital One, their program and their points, and Citi. Of course, Julie and I prefer Amex, and Chase is a close second, just because Chase and Amex are so powerful. These bank points have partners where you can transfer your points out and get so much more value than you could ever get with an airline credit card like Delta or United. We like to stick with those kind of points, and we call them transferable points because that is the capability that they have.
Gio, this is a stat that I heard recently. I don't know if it's true. Okay, I'm just repeating what I've heard, but they say 5 to 10% of the gross national product in the US is put on a Delta credit card, Delta points credit card. It's like unbelievable. Delta is a very popular airline, so I'm actually not surprised that your first credit card was a Delta credit card. My first points card was a Northwest Airlines credit card, and that tells you how old I am. But I started out the same way. I started out because I moved to Europe in college, and we're talking about the Delta points card, but this is part of our course, obviously. But we talk about why we actually don't recommend that you get a Delta credit card. We recommend that you get something like Amex or Chase, which can go to any airline, because your points and your expenses are assets. And so we want you to have the most valuable currency possible. And typically that currency is something that would work for multiple airlines, not just one airline.
Yeah, that was perfectly said. I'm really not surprised. I think I was reading an article about Delta. I think they make more money from their partnership with Amex and their credit cards than they do flying their plane. It's insane. But it's definitely, if they're making money, there's an opportunity for us consumers to make some money or value in travel as well. And most people don't view their expenses as assets. Some people, they have a card, they're earning something. They may not be maximizing to the level that they could be, but at least they're doing something. But some people literally are just paying cash or only using a debit card, and they get absolutely zero for their expenses. And the thought of having your expense being an asset is so foreign to them. And by opening your eyes to this whole world, it just lets you run with it and get so much more value.
So you just nailed it on the head. I do have an Amex. Julie begged me. It took about a year or something. I got an Amex, and now I just spend everything on my Amex, and points are accumulating, but they're not accumulating very fast. So I'm kind of like, man, this is like going to take me 10 years just to get a free flight. What do you say to those people?
Yeah, so with the methods that we use, there's two key components. The first side is earning points and earning points quickly. There's different strategies that we implement, and it's really about making your strategic plan and the combination of your cards and maximizing your spend. But that's step one, of course, just earning points quicker. I don't know how quickly you're earning points, but like Julie said, I'm a college student, and I've probably earned over 2.5 million points in 2 years. And that is, I could do more probably, which is a crap ton of points, especially for somebody my age. But then our second point on this course is getting extreme value when you use it. You are probably using your points at a set value based on Amex's evaluation, like 1 cent per point. We don't have to get too into that, but you're basically using it at one set value. The second part that we focus on is increasing that value and your redemption on how you use the points. So our average, I know most of my average for at least my honeymoon or some of the trips that I've gone on is about 500 to 600% more than what the average person gets. So you would have to earn 6 times as many points as I earned for the trip that I booked, but I also am earning points quicker as well. So it all compounds on all of these levels. And that's how we get the most value when we use our points, by earning them quicker and by using them for the most value.
And Chandler, I'd love to use you as a case study. This is a great question because I hope you're okay with me saying this. If you're not, we'll take it out. But you have an Amex Gold, is that right?
No, I have,
Which color did you get?
I don't know what I have, honestly.
I
If
thought
I
you got an Amex
have the
Gold.
clear one, clear card.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay, so you're okay, that makes sense. So did you get a bonus when you got the card? Was there a bonus spend?
This one was the most straightforward one. I think it was free, double the points for groceries and gas. And
Okay.
that's basically all I spent my money on. So I was like, sure, I'll do double points for groceries and gas.
And you're
Yeah.
getting points for zero, you're not paying an annual fee. So that's good. But one
Yeah.
of the quickest ways to earn points is to go ahead and get a more expensive card like the Amex Gold. I don't know why I thought you had the Amex Gold.
No, you've been begging me. I just had. I
Okay,
just
well, maybe after this call, you'll sign up.
maybe the two.
But just for example, and we talk in depth about this on the course, I cannot say that enough. But the MX Gold is around $300 a year. Is that right, Gio? 300 to 400. So you're gonna
Yes.
pay $300 to hold the card, okay? But you're gonna double how much you earn for gas and grocery. Well, actually, just groceries. You're gonna get the 4x. But the other thing that that more expensive card would come with is that you'd get like a 60,000 point bonus for hitting your minimum spend in the first 3 to 6 months. So that's a big way people churn points is that they get this giant, influx of points. I have one card, I got 600,000 points, just for signing up, getting that bonus, the spend bonus. And then now everything I spend is 2 points per dollar. And that Amex Gold is usually about 65, 75,000 points. Some of the Amexes are 250,000 points. Just that sign up bonus, if you hit that minimum spend within a few months, that's 2 first class tickets anywhere you want right there.
Mhm.
So anyway, just be aware that that's really the first step in churning points, which is what Gio and I both do. I do it probably a lot less than Gio because I don't need any new credit cards. But when you get that new card, pick it very strategically and then hit the minimum spend. Gio's been very creative in his ways of getting that. And instantly you've got a free ticket right then and there.
So how much like is a ticket? You said 60,000 is two first class tickets.
Well, it depends on if you're talking domestically, internationally, what location, what deal. What Julie said about the bonus is definitely true. That's one of the quickest way you can get the most amount of points without a doubt. That's something that I maximize. And especially if you have a girlfriend or a partner or someone else that can do a player one, player two like game with you, you can maximize the amount of points very quickly by doing that. But for a reference, I think the cheapest I've seen, well, actually, Jacob he booked one that I swear was a glitch because I've never seen it before. It was like a 20,000 point like business class to Europe. And I was like, what in the world? But typically you're going to look at like 50 to 70,000 points each way in business class. And that's like typical.
Mhm.
Really? So I have a trip right now then. I have a nice
Well,
little
yeah,
trip.
Mhm.
that's what I'm saying but you wouldn't know that because like the way though you probably aren't familiar with transferring the points out. And really that many points is only an economy ticket, maybe round trip if it's really affordable at the time. But that's worth a business class trip one way for sure, especially if you plan ahead.
Well, and Gio, we're talking about getting these points bonuses, and you're a college student, so I like this question for you a lot. So for Chandler's reference, Chandler doesn't typically drop 6,000 a month on his credit card, but let's say he wants the Amex Gold and the minimum spend is 6,000, and that amount is intimidating. Well, you being in college, you don't spend $6,000, in one swipe either. So, talk about that. Like, what are different strategies you've seen? Do you use your parents, your girlfriend? Like, how do you get those minimum spends? I've definitely helped both of my kids do that, but talk about that from your perspective.
Yeah, so some of the things that I'm always thinking about is, of course, what the bonus is, what the spend is, if I can reach it, and any way possible to reach it, my money included, and anybody else's money. For a while, I would, have friends that paid their rent with their credit card. I'd be like, hey, could you mind just putting it on my card instead of your debit card, right? Like, of course, my friends, I'm like, hey, you should get a credit card. But if they're like, no, I'm not going to, well, someone should be getting that spend on a credit card. And if it's not going to earn me a ton of points, that's fine. Let's just at least count it towards my minimum spend. Someone's rent can really get your spend going, especially if it's not a huge bonus. Most of these cards are like $3,000 to $4,000 in 3 months, or maybe even six in 3 months. Business cards get a little higher. I think the highest one that I've ever done was $20,000 spend in 3 months, which gets a little more tough. But I've got my parents, I've got family. I'm booking flights for people using my card and get reimbursed, paying at dinner, my rent, other people's rent, anything else that I can pay for and be reimbursed. Sure, it may be a hassle to get people to reimburse you sometimes very quickly, but I've never had someone just flat out not pay me. The benefit has been great for me. A free flight or a big bonus is definitely worth sending a couple extra text messages, being like, hey, send me the rent money. I feel like a landlord.
Paying for other people, okay, that makes sense. How you accumulate too much faster.
And this is what the course is about. Gio and I are in the real world, okay? We don't have a money tree in our backyard. We wish we did. But we're using everything we've got and we're spending in the most efficient way possible. So for me as a business owner, this is just one example. I'm in real estate, okay? I spend money on groceries. I spend money at Lowe's for these different houses that we're rehabbing. I spend money on gas. I don't spend money on gas. I spend money on other things. But whatever that is, I have in my head Gio's voice and I'm whipping out a different card for each thing. Okay. At Lowe's, I know I can get 1.5 points per dollar on my Amex Business Platinum. So I use my Amex Business Platinum. I don't use my Business Gold at Lowe's. Why would I? Do you know where I do use my Business Gold? At a restaurant because I get 4 points per dollar. So that's part of what we do in the course is we talk about how to get that minimum spend out of the way. Back to Gio talking about, paying rent. There are fees involved sometimes with paying rent. I've done that with my mom. My mom is in a nursing home and I've been paying her rent on a credit card. But it's $2,500 a month. Like that's a lot of points. So if I'm going after a big bonus, like a 100,000 point bonus or a 60,000 point bonus, spending a couple $100 in, fees is not that big of a deal when I know I'm going to get 2 first class tickets out of it. I'm still saving a ton of money there by hitting that minimum spend. So we don't always recommend that. Know what you're doing, but like there are just all different ways to hustle. And so that's what the whole course is about is we really break it down into little pieces and go, okay, if you're spending this, use this card. If you're spending that, use that card. We actually even have cheat sheets that you can carry around with you and you can look it up and go, okay, here I am at Walmart. I'm going to use this card.
That's pretty cool. I like that. So I want to ask about the points. You talk about maximizing the points and like spending the points the correct way, right?
Yeah.
So what's the key to spending them the correct way?
What's the way to spend them the correct way?
Yeah.
So first I'll start off with not the correct way, but it's also not always the not correct way. It could be the right way depending on the situation because you're still getting value. Having your points at 1 cent per point is still value. And I say 1 cent per point because Amex, along with many other banks, value the points at 1 cent per point. So our goal is to beat that. If we beat that, we're winning. If we don't, then we can fall back and use our points in the Amex portal or choose to use cash. So the way that we maximize our value in redemptions is by transferring our points out of the bank and then to specific airline partners. If you're familiar with alliances or airline alliances, we have the big 3 here airlines are American, United, and Delta. These 3 airlines are the spearhead of alliances that have other airlines in different regions all around the world. And each of these airlines have different frequent flyer programs, reward systems, and etc. Well, as a United States citizen or anyone else who's living here and has access to credit cards, if you've heard other countries, they make jokes about how much we use our credit card. And it's true, we are one of the biggest consumers of credit cards in the whole entire world, which gives us a massive edge up on everyone else who does not have that access. And I mean that edge up specifically in regards to earning points and miles. Other countries specifically focus more on earning points and miles flying, not like actually spending on cards. So the fact that we can maximize on our spend and then take advantage of foreign frequent flyer programs at their pricing puts us a leg up over everyone else. Where you get stuck, States, is using earning points on cards like the Delta cards, United cards, American cards, and then you're subject to everyone else who's doing the exact same thing. You're just almost competing with each other. But by using these airlines, these foreign airlines and their foreign pricing, you can take advantage of the very competitive pricing that they have. Now, you probably have a lot of questions now, Chandler, but what I want to make a little bit more simple for you is that you're not necessarily flying on these foreign programs. You're just booking through them. So for example, Air Canada is partnered with United. You can transfer your American Express points to Air Canada and then book a flight on United. Now, that's like a 3-step for booking a flight, but the pricing that you're getting is so much more competitive than if you used United points or even if you used American Express points in their portal most of the time.
Yeah, so you can it'll be 85,000 points on United, the same seat, and it'll be 55,000 on Air France. Whatever, like that's where someone like Gio that really understands how to check all the sources. It's like me buying a house, but if I buy it through Zillow, it's 100 grand. And if I buy it through realtor.com, it's 95. And if I buy it direct, it's 80. The concept is the same. Same short-term rental is the same concept, right? Depending on which platform you go to, the same house is a different price depending on the platform fees. Points are the exact same concept, which is why you want the kind of point like an Amex point or Chase or Capital One, where it can go to any source and you can transfer that same number of points. You might even get a transfer bonus. Sometimes they do a 20% bonus just for transferring your Amex points over to their service. And like Gio said, you buy a Delta seat using an Amex point transferred to, I don't even know, Singapore Airlines, so that probably made no sense to you. I probably messed that up, but the concept is what I'm speaking about, not the specifics.
It's very similar to that. And what Julie has 100% mastered is the earning of points. She is a master on knowing what card to use when. She's even given me advice on like, hey, Gio, did you know about this thing about earning points? And I'm like, what? Sometimes I miss out on those because as someone who doesn't have as many points, sure, I'm focused on earning them, but I'm also really focused on getting the most value when using them. And that's what Jacob and I specialize in. And oftentimes we do that for Julie because she doesn't want to spend the time to learn, like to do it all and learn and keep update to all of the stuff. It's not all that fun because it's constantly changing. But the general concept is exactly that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a lot to unpack. I
Sorry.
like read the course or something to
We get a little too excited about this. I'm sorry, Chandler.
get points on Canada to go to Delta. Anyways, what I would say is get the course if y'all want to learn more.
Right.
Why you have to get the course? Okay, I think I understand it. Basically, in real estate terms, is if you book direct, it's cheaper than booking on Airbnb.
Right. That's a great example. It's like if you direct booked on Sid Was Here's website, it's cheaper because we're not having to pay Airbnb and VRBO. But the same house
Right.
is also on VRBO. We don't care where you book, we're getting paid the same amount. And the airline is fine, so yeah, it's just the same concept. The thing I've focused on, and I'm a big believer in this in my life, in every business that I own, is like I do what I love. If it's not something that I enjoy, I hire it out. I make someone else do it that's really good at that. I love the concept from that book, Who Not How. And so even though I started back in my 20s doing points hacking, and I've done some really amazing trips, I finally realized once Jacob got with Geo that I wasn't as efficient as I could be. And so Jacob is my oldest son, just for context, if no one knows that. And with Jacob going on the trips, I learned very quickly to just make him book it because he was so good at finding really good deals. And I mean, he got us back and forth in business last year it was just really inexpensive. I think we paid like $30 in cash each person. So $30 times four. And we went business class over to Portugal. And, Jacob, he found a decent deal and then he found a killer deal. And, but he just kept searching those different airlines to see which one would give us the same four seats, for the best price. So it's really a bargain hunt. But what I love is I love the earning of points and the stacking of points. And I'm very good at it. I have a lot of sources of expenses because of all the business. So I just stack them up. And then when it goes to spending them, I use Geo or Jacob to book the most efficient route for me because I do find that very complicated and I don't really enjoy learning about it. So anyway, we're always here for whatever people need. And that's where Geo comes in. He actually gets paid to book tickets for people using their own points because to pay Geo $200 and you're getting a $10,000 trip, who cares about the $200 that he's going to, take to book that for you? He's going to save you, just like a property manager. They're going to do way more than what you would even realize, and they're going to do it more efficiently. It's the same exact concept.
So as far as booking, we'll go through the spending side of things. Are you just going to like their direct website and you see a deal that they have with American Express points, or because normally you just book through the American Express login, book a flight?
Let me give you a scenario. Let's say Chandler wants to take his girlfriend to Italy, okay? Hypothetically, but I'm pretty sure he does. So I'm just going to say that. And let's say Chandler has 300,000, let's say 150,000 Amex points. Take us through the process of booking a ticket for Chandler and his girlfriend to go to Italy. If he has 150,000 points, how do you make that go as far as possible?
So first off, for you to know American Express portal, there is a tab. They don't make it very hard, or they make it very hard to find. They don't make it very easy to find. There's a tab where you can transfer your points out to partners. You hit transfer to partners and it's got a list of options that you can send your points to. If I were to look up a flight for you, to. I would specifically be asking what airports you're willing to leave from, if it's only one, or if you have some flexibility, and then what airports you're willing to go to, etc. And then I would begin a search for you. But I am going to lay this one down because it's very simple. And this is actually something that people would pay me for, but I'm going to give it for free. There is a route that Julie and I and Jacob and my dad and a couple of us have also done that Emirates has from New York to Milan. And this is a very simple booking because there's not like 3 steps to it. It's only 2. Simply put, Amex is partnered with Emirates. You send the points to Emirates, then you book with your points on Emirates. That is all that's to it, but the value you're getting for your points is insane. Just for example, I booked an $11,000 ticket, first class, for 85,000 points and $100. I literally just took the points from Amex, sent them to Emirates, and booked the flight. Now, finding availability may be harder or whatever, but the general concept is literally move the points from Amex, put them to Emirates, book the flight. That is a simple one that anyone can book now that I've dropped that information, as long as you search it and you see it available. Move the points from Amex or Chase or Citi or Capital One, put them into Emirates, and then book the flight. And that is literally it. The codes for the airports, JFK to MXP, first class ticket is this close away.
That's right. Well, Jacob helped my husband and I. We went to Istanbul last year, and it was awesome because we had Capital One points. That's another great example of a bank point. And so Jacob took us, we left in and out of Savannah. Okay. And so he took us the first to get over there. He booked us Savannah to Denver and then Denver to Istanbul, all on one ticket. But he took Capital One points, moved him over to United, and bought us Turkish Airlines tickets. It sounds crazy, but that's what he did. And it was $12 for my ticket. It was $12 for my husband's ticket. And we had lie flat seats. We had like a 4-course meal. Like, it was a wonderful trip. I did not enjoy the TV channels because they were mostly in Turkish and I do not speak Turkish, but that was my only complaint about Turkish Airlines. So that was to get over. Okay. Now coming back, it got more complicated and he found a different ticket from Istanbul direct on Turkish Airlines to Dallas. Again, $12 in cash. I already had the points sitting there, which I love to do. My husband and I ended up paying cash for a ticket on American Airlines to fly from Dallas back to Savannah. It was a couple $100. We weren't that upset about it because on a 13-hour journey, if I can lay down and sleep, it just makes the trip so much better. And so that's an example where we flew, Turkish Airlines both ways. We got to our destination in style. We loved it, but we used different points and we used different providers to move those points around, but we got the same outcome.
Everybody needs a Jacob and Jill in their life.
Yes, they do. They absolutely do. I'm
Just
so
book
lucky
it.
to have them. I'm kidding. I'm now sharing them, but it's like my little secret.
You're only giving out a lot of information right now.
No, it's a lot of information that can be very overwhelming, but the general concept is just from the bank to the airline and book the flight. Now, sometimes you can go step 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, whatever. But general concept is that you're moving your points out of the bank and getting a better deal by sending it to the airline with the best deal.
Well, Gio, I'm dying to get you to talk about your honeymoon because you just did an epic honeymoon. Again, you're in college. I can't imagine you make more than $5,000 to $10,000 a year in income. I mean, I'm pretty sure you don't. You just did. Am I right in saying that you just did a $75,000 honeymoon for how much in cash?
Yeah, I was just doing the numbers. I think it's actually closer to 80,000 once I crunched the numbers.
Yeah.
That we would have spent for hotels and accommodation and flights if we had paid cash. That of course didn't include like the excursions or anything because we paid cash for those. And we only spent like 5,000 for our $80,000 worth of value there. That's been like the baby of my whole business / hobby. It's my special thing that I've spent a lot of time and energy on. And it took a lot of planning, but it was a phenomenal trip for sure.
And just give us the rundown. Where did you guys go on your honeymoon? And I know you did not fly coach.
No, we left. I'll give you an overview, not like the really detailed stuff, but we left from Chattanooga. We flew to Doha on Q Suites, which is apparently the world's best business class, and it felt pretty awesome. We had the lie flat beds in the sky for 13 and a half hours. We had a layover in Doha, headed to the Maldives, flying Qatar Airways first class, and then we spent 5 nights at the Ritz-Carlton in the Maldives.
All on point.
And then all on point. And then we went, I guess I should be saying that we used points like the flights there were $200 out of pocket. Then we took flights from the Maldives to Dubai And I think those were like $120 out of pocket on first class. And
Oh,
then we spent 5 nights at the St. Regis on the Palm, and that was $0 out of pocket. And then we went to Abu Dhabi for a night, also free. And then we flew Etihad Airways business class to Turkey. That was, I think, $25 each. And then we took some flights into Turkey, and I just paid for those because they weren't that expensive. Spent a couple days in Cappadocia with the hot air balloons, did a hot air balloon ride. Went to Bodrum, super awesome, like coastal city that shares the same water as Greece. Spent 3 nights there at the Edition, didn't pay anything for that. Then went to Istanbul, spent 2 nights there in the St. Regis there, didn't pay anything for that. And then we flew back to New York on Singapore Airlines business class. I think we spent $80 each out of pocket for that. And then we spent 2 nights at the Park Hyatt in New York. That was absolutely free. And then we ended up spending another 2 nights in New York because our flight was delayed. But we also didn't pay for those. Still good deals. I was so glad that I actually had a nice little, it's almost like an emergency fund of points if you have them, because if something happens, I wasn't even like, oh no, I have to pay like a couple $100 for a hotel in New York. I was like, well, I guess I'll just move over my Chase points and I'll book a hotel for like 12,000 points. Like a 5-star hotel for 12,000 points is a great deal. So that was the whole trip. We made it back here in Memphis after that, and it was about a month long.
and Gio, you are how old?
I am 23.
He is 23. He makes less than $10,000 a year. Maybe less than five. I don't even know. And
I
that's
don't even
pro.
know.
Okay, that's pro level right there, what you just heard. Like I did not have that cool of a honeymoon at all. And I was way farther along in life. Like awesome. And
How
talk
many points? Go ahead, Julie. I'm sorry.
well, I wanted to talk the Ritz-Carlton. I'm very curious to know because Jacob told me, I'm sorry we keep talking about Jacob, but anyway, he told me that you use a very advanced level strategy on this Ritz-Carlton. Can you talk about that and using the Marriott points? Like you really
Yes.
slayed on this honeymoon, Gio. I cannot give you enough props.
Thank you. Thank you. I was planning this honeymoon probably before she was planning the wedding, to be honest with you. But no, so the method for these Marriott points that I used was a little complex because if you've used Marriott, you know the amount of points it takes to book a hotel like is absolutely insane. And to get those points can be kind of tough. But there's oftentimes these bonuses from the banks to Marriott, and it stabs me in the heart to move my bank points to Marriott. But my fiance really wanted to stay at the Ritz-Carlton. I'm so glad I did. It was a great experience. But I took advantage of certain transfer bonuses that were going on from Chase. So Chase had like a 75% transfer bonus if I moved my
What?
points from Chase, yeah, to Marriott. Another one was
So
like,
you moved 100,000 points, you got 175,000 Marriott points?
yeah, often. I did that. I think I did one for 50,000. I did one for like 65, another one for 50. I waited. And this was far before I was even going to book the hotel because I read Marriott's terms and conditions and they said you can only send 100,000 from one account holder to another a year, but one account holder can receive up to 500 a year. And so all of my Chase points weren't all mine. I had like 100 something thousand. My girlfriend at the time had 100, or fiance had like 100 something thousand. My brother had 100 something thousand. But the bonus was with Chase. So I was like, listen, we're gonna transfer the points, my fiance's points to her Marriott account, my brother's points to his Marriott account, my points to my Marriott account, and then I sent 100,000 points from each of their accounts to mine on December, and then January the terms and conditions refreshed because it's 100,000 points per year. Then I sent the remaining 100,000 points from their accounts to mine. And then it gets even better. I booked the hotel when it became available to book. And then I checked every single day up until probably 2 months before the honeymoon. Because if you didn't know this, Marriott has this like option that you can rebook the same room that you've already booked and get credited back the points if the price is decreased. So I had spent like 676,000 Marriott points to book this hotel, which is astronomical. Like that was like the majority of the points for the whole trip. And I like to use my points on flights, not hotels, but that's what my fiance wanted to do. So I booked that. And then every day I just went and I was just getting points back every single day, just getting points back. I ended up booking that hotel for 376,000 points. And I got all the extra points back and I used it for the rest of the trip. And that was great. If I had known that it would go down that much, I might have just not sent as many points over. Regardless, it's what I did and it worked out great. It was a lot of strategic planning, but it worked out perfect.
Yeah, that is some strategy right there. Holy cow.
Oh
That's
yeah, it was work. But I mean, this hotel, it's like 2,500 a night for an
oh,
like the one for one of those overwater villas. And I was like, well,
Well,
she really wants this one. And I mean, it looks pretty cool. We'll go for it. So
well,
yeah.
who the heck taught you all this?
That's a good question. So I actually moved out of the dorm my sophomore year and I had a lot of free time on my hands. So I just would read articles and watch stuff. It just grew and grew and grew. So then I started trying to test things out, and where I believe that someone has the capability to learn this a lot quicker, which honestly puts a lot of people at a disadvantage, is if you're doing it for other people. You make more mistakes, you get more experience, so many more different opportunities. And that's really the way that Jacob and I got really good at this, because when he had trips with his family, I was doing it with him. Or if I had my honeymoon, he was doing it with me. So we're learning everything else. I've used millions and millions and millions of points that aren't mine on other people's flights. And at first I wasn't charging for it because I was learning. But now I know what I'm doing now, so I charge for it. But yeah, that's the way that we learn, and it's a lot of trial and error. But mainly videos, YouTube videos, a lot of reading articles, and trial and error, of course.
Well, I'm going
Cool.
to give a plug for the course here. Like, we ended up talking about Jacob so much, and Jacob is an evil strategy genius. It's crazy, as is Geo, clearly. But like, we talked about him so much that we brought him in for some bonus content, and these two got talking on this bonus content section that's in our course about some of the craziest things they've done on points redemptions. And I was speechless. I almost couldn't breathe. I was so shocked some of the stuff they came up with, and it all worked. May or may not be a smart idea, but it's really fantastic just to hear how these guys' brains work. And when you look at the amount of like his $80,000 honeymoon that Gio just spoke about, his brain is for rent for $200. You know what I mean? Like, it's nothing when you look at the value that someone like Geo can get out of something you already have sitting around that's, growing cobwebs, for example. So I just can't say enough. Like, Geo, you're such a pro. I've just really, my travel has benefited since you came into my life. And it's just been such a pleasure to bring this course to life because we are spending money every single day. So at least get something out of it, because I'm never spending money I don't have. I don't let my credit cards go. I'm not paying interest or anything. We haven't said that yet, but that's extremely important part of
Mm,
points hacking is put it on a credit card because you're spending it and then you pay the credit card right back off. If you let interest build up on those credit cards, you are not getting free travel. That's what they want you to do, quite frankly. They want you to pay 30% interest on that credit card bill. So I want to say that, and I probably can't say that enough. And I had very good habits back in college as well. I was always taught never use credit, never, never. And so I was meticulous at paying off my Amex every Friday. And I still do that to this day, So I do want to kind of mention that. But this is money you're spending anyway. Why not take your family on some insane trips? I certainly have, Geo has. And like, I'm really proud of what we came out with. Like, it really flowed. And I just think whether you're in real estate, whether you're not in real estate, anybody is spending money. Get some points back every time you swipe that card.
for
So
sure.
tell us about like what's in this course. Like, just kind of give us a rundown and outline.
We compiled a lot of all of our knowledge with especially earning the points in a detailed way, especially in the categories that you spend, and chapters for you as well. We also did a couple practical examples on it. It's a lot easier with illustrations on how to transfer these points with the level. And then, of course, you can take that and learn more. And we will be providing some extra clips or extra courses with using your points in specific ways. But the general concept of how it works and enough for you to learn is in there. It may sound all very overwhelming, but we take it and break it down really simple for you. And even with the using your points, the concept is the most important thing to understand. You don't have to know how to book every single flight. You just need to know the concept and then know what you're trying to book. If you know what you're trying to book, like I said, that Emirates flight, Chandler, you could book that, like, without a doubt. And then all of a sudden you're travel hack. Like, it's really just on exactly those kind of things. But Julie and I put a lot of time into that course and everything that we've learned and those options. And we also mentioned the stuff that's in our wallet.
True, we went through each of our wallets. It's really fun. The course that we have out right now, the focus is on acquiring points, okay? Because spending them is kind of next level. It's harder. We're gonna have a second course for that concept later. We want to see how this initial one goes. But the most important thing is you've got to have points before you can spend them, So the focus of our first iteration here is just on how to we want to see everyone get 2 to 8 points per dollar spent. Okay, we do. That's what we do in our own lives. And so Just recently, Gio, I'm sure you saw Chase came out 8 points per dollar spent on travel through the portal. That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah.
Amex is at 5, stuff like that. So anyone that buys the course, they get all of that knowledge. Plus, they get put into a community where they can get in on Zoom with Gio and myself and Jacob every now and again. And we're just going to talk points and strategy as things change. So anyway, it's really cool. No matter where you're at in life, there's something in this course for you because I know you're spending money.
For
So I
sure.
want to ask, is it better to just continue to compound points and spend like on this one big trip, kind of like Gio just did, or were you just saving up for this one big trip, or were you kind of able to sprinkle some other trips in there? What was your thoughts on that?
And it's really incredible thinking back on it. I always, and this is a tip that I think we mentioned in the course many times, is that when I would come back from a trip, I already have either the next one planned or the points to be able to book the next one, so that you're never like burning all your points and then you come back from the trip and you have to wait again. It's never ever felt like that for me. I mean, as soon as I got engaged, we went to Italy to take our engagement pictures with points, and I still had enough points to do the whole honeymoon. And then we came back and I still have over 1 million points now. So there's never been a point where it feels like I'm just like building and then burning, building and burning. But if you're someone who has a more like, I'd say, busy work schedule and can't be traveling as often, like you can build them up. The way we'll teach you how to burn them up, build them up. You won't burn them as quickly. You shouldn't have to burn them even if you go like do something lavish, especially if you're not going on trips that often.
That's how I am right now. I'm like, dang it, because I got a pretty good chunk of points. I could just spend it all in one sitting. I don't want to do that because it's like, oh, I got
Yeah.
to start over. It took me 2 years to get a chunk of points.
We can teach you to
Well,
get that a lot quicker, though.
yeah, like you probably you have like the like what you showed us. If you have a good chunk of points at like the one of the lower tiered Amex cards, you probably didn't get a big bonus. You're probably earning the minimum amount of points you can for the dollars you're spending, and you still have a good chunk of points. That's honestly impressive. Imagine what you could be at if you were like stacking all of these opportunities, like 100,000 point bonus. You also were getting now double the amount of points you're getting on the card you have now. So just double your points there instantly at 100,000 points,
Mhm.
and then stacking a shopping portal, which will throw in Rakuten. It's not marketed as Amex's like shopping portal, but you can then get points for the card you're spending and then get points for booking something else through Rakuten, end up getting like 10, 15 times the points per dollar you're spending at something, and that is way more than I'm sure you're doing now. And those opportunities are even more exponential when you own a business. And I know you do, Chandler. So business cards are insane. It's almost like you have personal cards and then you have like business cards. Like if you open up that realm as well, it's just the opportunities are endless.
Yeah, because I do a bare minimum. Just spend it and I pay it off, spend it. And I'm like, all right, look, one day and have a ton of points. So that's
Well,
just how.
you're doing well. Yeah, you're doing
That's right.
well.
Another thing we cover in the course too is, like I was saying, the $300 annual fee. Okay, some people look at it, or let's say the Amex $800 annual fee. They go, "Oh my gosh, that's crazy." I have multiple of those, and we show you in the course how to get that $800 back plus some. So I actually get paid to hold my Amex cards. The $300 I pay a year for the Amex Gold is nothing. I get probably $460 worth of value back in free stuff. So we can show you how to use all of that to where they're basically free to you. If you understand, it's really a game. Am I right, Gio? So if you know the
100%.
game and you understand the rules of the game and you have someone like Gio, like giving you tips in the background, like you'll do very well. But yeah, it's easy to stand back and be like, oh, this is so intimidating. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not
Yeah.
getting points very quickly. But that's what the course is about, is we're there to maximize you wherever you spend every day. Let's maximize on that. And you'll be shocked at how quickly they stack up. Gio, I want to give you one other shout out because I think you've already established that you're a total pro. But I want to say you were a junior in college and you actually won an award for your points hacking business. Talk about that. I think it's impressive as heck what you won there when you were in school.
Yeah, so I actually did two pitches. One was like a pre like pitch, and then the other one was like a finalist one. It was basically just like student entrepreneurs sharing their business and what they've done with their business business and almost like a competition. The first one was smaller. I think I won like 1,500, which was awesome. And then the second one, I won first place and won $10,000, and that was awesome. And really, what I appreciated from that was that the people that were in the crowd and the clientele that I got from that, I'm still working with today because they were actually like business owners. It was like a convention that they had with a lot of Christian business owners and entrepreneurs, and so I got to speak in front of all of them. I've still been working with people, or I still have new people from that convention message me or call me or email me and be like, let's please help me, or I want to do this, like I'd like to learn, etc. And so I mean, that's a really awesome accomplishment that I'm really proud of, and that really helped me feel like I'd finally like established like my business at that point, and it was really awesome.
Well, and I love that too because I heard all about it from Jacob. He was so excited for you. And what I loved about it was that the other students in the room were pitching their businesses and they were all asking for money, right? It was like a Shark Tank environment. Am I correct, Gio? Obviously, I was not there, but
Yeah.
so it's kind of a Shark Tank environment with local businesses watching college students pitch them on their business. Well, every other guy on the stage was like, hey, I need 5 grand or 10 grand, and this is what you'll get. And Gio walked out on the stage and didn't want any of their money. And he said, if whoever wins, how did you pitch it, Gio? They got to mentor you, right? You were kind of taking bids on who could mentor you, and they went nuts. Talk about that a
Yeah.
little bit. I loved that.
Yeah, so the first two, so actually there were three pitches, I guess. So the first two were cash prizes, and the third one, it wasn't students anymore. It was actually other business owners that needed an injection of capital to kickstart their business or to start a new venture or whatever. Yeah, everyone was asking for money, and I was like, should I be asking for money? But most of the business is my mind, and so my overhead for my mind is like okay, not that much money. I don't need the money in that kind of way, like for my business. I mean, so I went up there and I was just like, I did my whole pitch and they're like, I'm not looking for capital. I'm just looking for a mentor. And then everyone was like asking me questions and wanted to meet with me and this and this. And I just gave out my information and I went from there. It was pretty funny because I was the only person on the stage that did that.
That sounds like a great business idea. You said you do have a business right now, Gio?
Yeah, so of course we have unlikely assets, and that's our course. But a couple of years ago started my business. It's a little wordy. It's called First Class Travel and Financial Consulting. I put the financial in there because, of course, for maximizing points and miles, you have to have financial literacy, especially with the credit system. And so I worked on that for a couple of years, and then Jacob and I started travel hacking more together, which I'll get to a funny story about that. We started travel hacking more together. Julie and I started talking, and she's like, let's do a course. And my biggest thing is like, man, the technology behind a course is so overwhelming. I have all of the information, I've got all of the syllabus, I could do everything, but the technology is so difficult. And Julie has a passion for travel hacking as well. So it was a perfect partnership. And that is what made our baby Unlikely Assets right here. So,
And you can go to unlikelyassets.com right now and you can actually book Gio's brain 24/7. He is there. There's a link right to it on the contact us page. What's your story, Gio? We want to hear a good story.
Jacob got into travel hacking around the same time that I did because he and I were close and I would tell him things. Of course, he'd been on trips with you, Julie, all the time. And I know he had a general knowledge about it, but I got really into it really quick. And so we started to talk about it. He started to research stuff and he was always so like impressed on how good I was at it. He was like, how are you doing this? How are you doing this? I had found the softwares to search things. Like there's engines, right? They're not foolproof. You need to know like what you're doing, but there's AI search engines, multiple different ones for different purposes, etc. And I had found them and he hadn't yet. So he would like be like, I wonder about this, I wonder this. And I would be like using that and be like finding all of these awesome flights. I'm like, how are you doing it so quick? After 2 months, I was like, Jacob, man, I can't do like this anymore. I'll send you the softwares over. And he's like, oh my goodness, dude, you're horrible for not sending me that. And then ever since then, we've really learned more like with each other and actually having someone that you're completely transparent. Okay, because that's the other thing. Jacob and I are both very competitive, but once you're like openly transparent, like now we do searches together. I search stuff for him, he searches stuff for me, and he actually helped me a lot with that pitch as well. I did that we mentioned before. So that's just a funny story with Jacob and I. I will say honestly, I truly believe we are on the same level now, 100%.
Yeah.
Like he and I, we bounce ideas off of each other. I tend to be more of a risk taker, but he sometimes will generate the idea and then make me do the risk, or I'll generate the idea and he'll be able to tell me if it's worth the risk or not because he's very good at evaluating like, okay, is this worth the risk or not, And we just go from there.
Yeah,
So
Jacob has no problem reading 4 hours worth of content. It makes my eyes water to think about reading all of those web pages, and he will do it. If he has an idea, and it was funny because we were recording the course, and I was like, I told Gio as we were recording, I was like, I've heard there's a way to get Walmart to code as groceries, and then you can 4x your points, right? So we were kind of just talking about the concept. Well, I mentioned it to Jacob later that day. He goes, wait, what? He went and researched that sucker. Like, that's what he'll do. He'll put the time in, and that's good. We all need friends like that push us. And I think you guys have both really grown a lot together. I've definitely grown a lot being associated with the two of you. You guys have made me more efficient. So, you get whoever you're associating with, that's who you're going to be like. And you're going to either grow up with them or you're going to go down with them. So I'm glad you chose well. The Gates family is always, up on the up and up, hopefully.
Oh yeah. And that's the biggest travel hack. I'll tell you this. If you're watching this and you don't have the time to learn a course, buy it for your kid and we'll teach him him or her how to travel hack. And that is probably going to save you the most amount of money on your travels for sure.
That's awesome. Well, I hope everybody buys. I don't see why people wouldn't. I think the course, if you buy it, you'll definitely get paid back from buying it. Like you get an $80,000 trip for five. I mean, that's paying itself off for sure. So I hope everybody buys it.
That's some
For
good.
sure.
Gio,
So,
tell our audience how to find you on social media. Tell again the website. Like, just if anyone wants to reach out, if you don't want to reach out to Gio right now because you aren't spending money, okay. But everyone else should be reaching out.
So I don't even know what exactly my social is. I have a more playful travel hacking one, which is called, let me look it up here. Geo Travels for free. That's mine where I have some playful stuff on there. I was waiting for this honeymoon to post some more stuff on there. So most of the stuff on there is a little bit older. Of course, we have a booking link, and really that is the services that I provide through my own personal business is basically through the link that's on Unlikely Assets anyway. Whether you want to just pick my brain, you want to strategically plan, you need help booking a flight, an hour or more or less with me, and that's probably the best way to get a hold of me. But my email as well. But I don't want to just send all that information out there because who
It's
knows
all
when
on
we'll
the
come back.
website. It's all right. Tell us
Okay, it's on the site.
what's your undergraduate degree in Geo? I know you're heading into law school soon, but what was your undergraduate degree?
It was just business admin, and maybe that's why I had so much free time to learn stuff like this. In college, I was doing all sort of weird stuff that made me curious, and I wanted to just try things. I always was thinking like, what if I did this, or what if this happened? And I think that's where I spent a lot of my time and energy, and that really is what brought me to travel hacking and points and miles.
If you're this good at 22, I'm terrified what you're going to be like at 32, 42. Like you're a beast. And Gio, you just have my utmost respect. It's been a pleasure partnering with you on this. And I hope our audience enjoyed this, no matter where you are in real estate or business or life. I hope it's been beneficial to you because, we work hard and we also want to play hard. And I cannot tell you how nice it is to be able to go on a trip with my family. The flights are basically free, the hotels are basically free, and we're just paying for food and maybe our activities. I mean, that is the hugest blessing. I don't travel often, internationally, but when I do, I travel well. And it's because my expenses are assets. And quite frankly, everyone's are as well, if you know how to do that. So thank you so much, Gio. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast. Please come back anytime, absolutely anytime. We wish you all the best in law school and whatever else that comes your way. And we hope to see you soon on even another course.
Thank you so much. I'm super happy to spend this time with you guys. It's been great.
Thank you.
well, thank y'all for tuning in to episode 75 with Gio. Julie, what was your favorite part about the episode?
You know what? I love hearing how Geo's brain works. I'm a hustler as well. I don't care what I'm doing in life. I'm always trying to figure out how to do it cheaper, better, bigger, faster, stronger, better. Like I'm always looking for the best way. And Geo is a true hustler. I knew him in college. He has now graduated college and he's going to law school. But when I first heard about him, my son called me and he said, "There's this crazy guy named Geo, and he had a haircut business in college. And Geo does not cut hair. Okay. But he found this barber that needed business. And Gio goes, "Well, if I bring you clients, will I get half?" And the barber was like, "Yeah." So Gio was like funneling people to this barber on campus and making a cut of the haircuts. And that was the first time I ever heard of him. And I was like, what? But I mean, he is a true entrepreneur. He's now specializing in travel hacking, which is to all of our betterment. But I really enjoyed watching the wheels turn in his brain. And the course is like 200x of what you heard today. It's really incredible.
Yeah, no, I think he provides a ton of value for what, even just today, just giving out like free value. I can't imagine what's in the course.
For him to make less than 10,000 a year and to travel many professionals, you know, it's really impressive. And he's just found a way, and it's all legal, it's all above board, and he hustles hard for that. He's really cash flowing on his own knowledge base. And I have the ultimate respect for that. I mean, that's what I do every day on real estate. I understand the markets well, and I make money off of my knowledge and taking action on that knowledge. That's the other important piece. But I'm glad you enjoyed speaking with him, Chandler. I know that was kind of out of left field for you,
Yeah,
but
no
I think
idea.
there's something to learn for everyone.
Mhm. For sure. Yeah, I had no idea what he was completely new to it. I have an Amex, I get points, but yeah, I'm just a little lazy with it right now. But he kind of got a little spark in me. So
Well, it cracked me up years ago. My Jacob, he's known his whole life that we were flying around for free. He knew that. And he never really gotten into it till he really got into like high school and college. And it was funny. He called me one day in high school and he said, "Mom, you've been doing things right." And I said, "Great. What did I do right?" I don't hear this very often from a teenager. And he goes, "I just read online that you should never give your child a debit card." And he goes, "I've never had a debit card." I said, "I would never give you a debit card. You don't get any points." And when my kids were very young, they had Amex cards and they had very tight limits on them. But instead of them spending on a debit card, I was going to get points. I've just always kind of had that mindset. So it was kind of interesting watching his brain turn on because he always knew what I was doing, but he never really understood. But once the lights kind of turned on to the fact that we were really traveling for free and that I was making every penny that I spent, he spent, his daddy spent, his brother spent, that was all going into this pot of future family travel. And he was like, "Wow, that makes so much sense." And I have a friend that recently told me, "Oh, I spend on a points card. Anything I spend over $100, I put it on a points card, but I just put the rest on my debit card." No, there's one of my favorite sayings is that pennies make dollars. If I'm going to buy a $3 Coke, I'm going to get 3 points for that. Actually, I'm going to get 12 points because I'm going to 4X it. But just if you can just get your head around the concept and start to learn, you get better every year at travel hacking, and you just churn points quicker and quicker every year. It's like you get a little knowledge and you do something with it and you get more and then you get more and then you get more. And that's what the course is about, is like taking you from like, I don't know anything to, oh, I travel like a boss. That's the goal.
there you go. So yeah, if you want the course, I'm sure the link will be out there. I'm sure Julie, reach out to Julie, she can give it to you.
Yes. Unlikely assets.com.
There you go. And let us know what y'all want to hear next, what topics y'all like to hear. I like to talk about anything. So if y'all want to hear some topics, reach out to us. Let us know. Also, like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you in the next podcast. Thank you for watching, listening, or whatever you're doing.